Hey guys, John the Top here from Fit Pro Firepower. Today I want to talk to you about retention because it is such an important topic, and yet for some crazy reason it's getting forgotten as everybody keeps going on about sales, getting more clients, writing Facebook ads, creating funnels, doing all this crazy stuff on the internet. And we are forgetting the basics of building a really good business. And one of the foundations of that is retention. Three key reasons why. First of all, it is cheaper than it is to keep getting new clients. It should be fairly obvious that if you already have the clients in your business, you don't have to be spending lots of money to go out and get them. Whereas if you're trying to draw people in who don't know you, maybe you have to start doing loads of, well, technically free events, but obviously you've got to spend your time doing them. You have to be putting out leaflets, you have to be doing your Facebook ads, and all of that stuff costs money. Whereas the things you can do in your business, whilst they're not necessarily free, you should still be physically investing money and resources in the people in your business. It does tend to be cheaper than acquiring new clients. So number one is cheaper, and along with that, it helps you manage risk. I'll put that in the same point because if you can manage the downside in your business, you protect yourself from those moments where you go, holy crap, we're running out of money, there's no cash flow and so on. It should be pretty obvious. Again, if you can retain, say, 90% of your clients and you keep people for at least a year and a half, 2 years, 3 years, then it makes it a lot easier to plan your business and very unlikely that you're suddenly going to wake up one day and realize that you need to get sort of 20 new clients in the next week. Okay, so it's cheaper and it helps you manage risk, manage downside in your business. Number two, you have a fired up sales team. And you might think, well, I don't have a sales team, I can't afford a salesperson. First of all, that's the point. You don't actually need to employ anybody because you have people who are already there. These are your members, they're your clients who absolutely love what you do and they're happy to go and talk about it. We talk about CrossFit, it gets a lot of publicity, a lot of press, because so many people talk about it. And whatever you think about the programming and so on is irrelevant to this video. We are simply talking about the fact that there are so many people going out there talking about it at work, talking to their friends, putting videos on Instagram, writing what a great workout they had on Facebook, sharing links to the CrossFit Games. As I do this video, that's the CrossFit Games has just finished. So you have a fired up sales team. You have people who genuinely want to attract more people into your business. There's a bit more of a sales thing behind that as well, in that people often experience buyer's remorse. When they buy something, they buy into something, they can get very sort of carried along with the emotions. Then once they've actually invested their money and they settle down a bit, they go, oh, have I made the wrong decision? Is it too expensive? We do that with shoes, cars, everything. So more often than not, they become a sales team for you because they want to bring in their friends, they want to bring in their family, because to them, if that happens, the friends and family almost confirm that they made a good purchase decision. It's like, well, if telling my family want to do it, then I must have made a good decision. So not only do they often want to help their friends and get them involved, but it's also good for them psychologically as well. And the third key point here is that it is simple, but it's not easy. Okay, it's not easy to really impress people. It's not easy to keep people with you for 2 years, 3 years or more. But it is actually quite simple. Okay, you don't have to be coming up with really sort of complex programming and complex sales systems, all this kind of stuff. You simply have to do certain things over and over and over again really well. And that's why I say it's not easy, because it's very easy to get sort of sidetracked by other stuff. Maybe you come up with new projects, you open a new location, you start doing online training, and you get a little bit complacent. You kind of forget about the people who are now almost like part of the furniture in your business, and you just assume that everything is okay because you kept them for a year, then they're going to be with you forever. So we have to avoid that level of complacency. But again, it is simple to do. It's a lot simpler than trying to come up with sales copy and writing new websites and putting on sort of trial programs and 7-day things on the internet and linking it to your business. The things that you need to do actually within your business to retain clients are a lot simpler. So the easy thing to say here, and this is what a lot of coaches will say to you, is just do your job really well. If you're really good at what you do, then you're going to get loads of clients and they're going to stay with you. And obviously there is some truth in that. If you are delivering results, if you're selling fat loss and you're guaranteeing that, and all of your clients are losing body fat, then clearly that is a really good way to keep clients. If they're paying you the money, they feel there's fair exchange for the results that they're getting, then they're going to stay, assuming nothing happens like they're sort of moving away, anything like that. But a way I like to look at it is to just kind of flip your mindset on this a little bit, and it will enable you to see your business in a different way and to take a different approach. And this is how you start to stand out. Just at this moment, I am actually back here in Guernsey. I've been traveling for a few years. I'm going off again in 4 weeks' time. And I've seen lots of my old clients. We used to have fitness camps, 200 people on them, have a gym in the town centre and so on. And I've seen maybe 20, 25 people already who keep saying to me, there's just nothing like Stormforce. There's nothing like what you did. That was my business, was called Stormforce Fitness. There's just nothing there. Other people are doing classes and fitness camps and stuff, but it's just not the same. Okay, and this is the reason why they want me to come back and open up. Even though, I mean, we've been closed now 2.5 years, but people still want me to come back and do this stuff. Like, this is how important it is, and this is how powerful it is. Okay, people will be so invested in it, they'll love it so much that they'll never leave. There's absolutely no reason for them to leave. So what I want you to focus on is happiness. And this is not going to be some like wishy-washy happiness guru video. What I mean to say is that if you can make people happy, or rather help people be happy, and your fitness business, whether it's PT, small groups, large groups, if they become happier by being part of that group, being part of that situation, that place, that tribe, whatever you want to call it, then again, why would they leave? People don't move away from happiness unless there's a very good reason, like they're moving jobs and they're moving to a different city or something like that, or they genuinely can't afford it. But again, without going off on too much of a tangent, you will find that you can raise prices, you can charge more when you give people high levels of happiness. Okay, it's pretty much the most elusive thing in human life right now, is being happy. And if you can help them to do that, then you will be surprised at what you can actually charge, and it's still a sort of a fair exchange, like we said. So what I like to think about is, how do I give people a dose of happiness? And there's actually 4 key hormones that are associated with happiness: dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. And this is not going to be a hormone lecture. I just want to give you some key insights as to how you can use this as a framework for your business. So dopamine, first of all, is the hormone that we get when we experience something almost like a new stimulus. That we kind of get this dopamine hit. It's fresh, it's exciting, it always gets us a little bit fired up, and we feel good when that happens. So people get dopamine hits from jumping out of planes, any sort of like adrenaline junkie kind of thing. We get dopamine hits from getting a like on Facebook. Maybe we get a new hot girl likes us on Facebook, and we're like, oh, who's this? We start looking at her photos. That's the sort of stuff that gives you a dopamine hit. So I'm not saying you have to have hot girls floating around your business, although that always helps. But you can look at how do I keep giving people dopamine hits? You're effectively making your business addictive. And there is nothing wrong with that, provided you're doing it in a good way, you're doing things in a healthy way. And the best way to do that is to give them constant variety, give them constant stimulus. So this is where we look at programming, and we might say, well, okay, we know that there has to be a degree of progressive overload in the training if it's going to keep delivering results. So there may be, for instance, you may have squat day every week, you may have press day every Wednesday, deadlift day every Friday, whatever. And those are relatively set, you're always working on maximum strength. But then you might do your Metcons, your WODs, that kind of stuff. Unless you're training for anything in particular, and even then, we could sort of discuss this all day. But you can largely vary. There's a lot of variation you can bring in, sort of altering different movement patterns and so on, different types of WODs, all that kind of stuff. So it's constant variety. People don't know what's happening. It's exciting. It's a new stimulus. And that is how you're constantly giving people dopamine hits. The other thing you can do is to not just leave people stuck where their brain is when they're talking about goals. So they will probably come in and say, I want to lose a stone, I want to lose 10 pounds, whatever. When they do that, their brain is then all of a sudden kind of on the edge of a cliff, and it's like, well, I don't know where I'm going with this now. Is it what I really want? Or maybe there's something different to try. Maybe something new and exciting down the road. You need to help them avoid that. And this is where concepts like having an annual plan come in, where you're doing strength phase and a power phase and a power endurance phase. You're either taking teams to different events, or you're creating events, creating challenge days. If there's nothing available, create it yourself. It's that's not a problem. The whole point is you're constantly giving people something to get excited about. Okay, we can also talk about sort of social nights and stuff like that, but there's constantly things to excite people. Most of your clients are bored right now. They're doing jobs they don't like, they're disengaged, they hate going to work. And I remember Alan Cosgrove saying to me that at Results Fitness there out in Santa Clarita, their thing is they want to make, for their members, they want to make the gym time the best part of their day. Okay, and that's how you need to think. How can I get them excited about coming in? So that's how we can deliver dopamine hits. Oxytocin, that is the hormone, it's kind of the bonding hormone. Women tend to have higher levels of it. It makes sense from an evolutionary point of view because obviously once they've had a baby, oxytocin levels go up and it creates that bond. So it makes it less likely that the mum is just going to walk away. So it's obviously good for our species. Oxytocin gets jacked up basically when we hug and when we have orgasms. Now, it might be a bit of a difficult situation for you to kind of produce orgasms in your fitness camp, unless you want to do a very X-rated camp. That's entirely up to you. I'm not getting into that. However, hugs, bonding, closeness, that is what gives us that the sort of increase in oxytocin, and it will help physiologically help people bond to your fitness camps and bond to what you do. So how can you develop connection? How can you can introduce people at the start. If you know somebody, some new member comes in and they're into cycling and you've got a guy who's into cycling, introduce them, create that partnership, create that friendship. Have social nights, do challenges where it's very much about the team ethic. That is how you build this bonding, this social network. The tribes is kind of the buzzword for it at the moment. At the end of the day, all of it is about creating bonding and get those oxytocin levels up. Make people feel part of something. Serotonin is the next one. Now, serotonin is kind of like the calming hormone. Okay, serotonin will keep us away from anxiety. If serotonin levels are higher, anxiety levels are generally lower. It's a bit of a chicken and egg situation, but ultimately, if you can help people reduce their stress levels, then cortisol levels are going to go down, serotonin levels usually come up as a result. So what are you doing to help people reduce stress? It helps obviously, but if all you're doing is helping them feel distracted for 2 or 3 hours a week, then it's not really the same thing. There's other things you can do to help them reduce stress. You can offer more sort of, I don't like to call them counseling sessions, but you can offer consultations, you can charge for them, you can make more money for that stuff. Help people to understand their personal environments. What is it that's causing the stress? How might they manage those things? Just giving them essentially sort of lifestyle advice, life coaching, whatever you want to call it. Ultimately, what we're trying to do is reduce their stress levels. Okay, so obviously the stuff you're doing at the moment is part of that. If they're getting results, if they lose weight, if they feel better about themselves, that will help reduce stress. But as we know, losing fat is not the answer to stress and anxiety. You can totally transform your body, you'll feel great, you get some compliments, but if your head and if you're in the wrong relationship, you're in the wrong job, you've got money problems, if all that stuff is still there, then it doesn't make a huge amount of difference. So this is where you start to look at your business as more of a, I don't really like the term holistic, but you're looking at the whole of their life and not just the exercise portion, which can only contribute a very small amount for some people. And last but not least, in our dose of happiness is endorphins. Well, in theory, this should be the easiest thing for you to do. It's about having great sessions, high intensity sessions, getting the blood flowing, moving people around as much as possible, introducing new movement patterns and different exercises and stuff. Kind of relate to a bit with the dopamine there as well, but we're just getting them moving. The more people move, the more these feel-good hormones come out, these endorphins, and obviously their brain will then start to form a habit. Oh wow, every time I go to Joe's fitness camp, I feel good. I get this rush of endorphins. I feel absolutely fantastic. Why would you stop doing that? Okay, so these 4 things, if you can look at your business and say, okay, well, how do we progressively increase those? Is there any that we're clearly missing out on? Then you've got to plug those gaps. And this is where you start to become more of an entrepreneur, more of a real business owner, because you may be the kind of person who likes to do the same stuff every week. This gets into things like neurotyping and personality types, but we'll park that for now. The point is that we all have different ideas about what we like, but ultimately a lot of people, they need variety. We say variety is the spice of life, and that applies to pretty much everybody across the board. So if you do tend to be one of the people who just likes to do the same stuff every week, if that's what you're doing in your personal training sessions, in your group fitness stuff, you might be boring the shit out of a lot of people. Okay, so you've got to look at that and say, okay, well, look, maybe I need to step back from the training. We'll bring someone in who's a bit of a bouncy bunny, still got all the sort of coaching qualities and so on, but they have the personality to really make the sessions a lot of fun. Now, this is why so many sort of aerobics classes and spinning and things like that are so popular. Not because they get particularly good results, we know that, but just the fact that they're a lot of fun. You have somebody at the front who makes it a bit of a show. It's fun, the music's good, everybody's bouncing around and having a laugh. That's what people want. If you can bring that into a fitness camp situation or a personal training session where they're also getting the scientifically proven methods, then you really are onto a winner. Okay, so just look at your business, be honest, go and ask your clients, go and say, like, how do you, rate the variety? Rate the social factors, how much do you feel part of this place? Is there anything we could do better? What are we doing badly? All these kind of things, taking this constructive criticism will make a huge difference. Okay, so that's today's video. We're talking about retention, why it is so important for your business. You don't want to be constantly chasing new clients, and kind of a new way of framing it. A lot of this stuff, you're probably like, oh yeah, I've kind of thought of that before, but if you can constantly think, am I making my members happy? Then it gives you a different framework to work from. It gives you different fuel when you're looking at, okay, what projects do we do next? What are we going to lay on for the clients? How are we going to unravel this journey for them? Okay, so that's it for me. Make sure you are maximising retention and then also thinking about new sales along the way. I'm John the Top, Fit Pro Firepower. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Also get on iTunes, check out the Fit Pro Firepower podcast, and go and find me on all these social media things as well. Take care, guys. I'll see you soon.